I've been bout my papyrus since I've been in it. Put me in a debate, you know I'm gon' win it. If I scream black power, don't get timid. If I say black city, I'm talking about Kemet. If I say black city, I'm talking about Kemet. Primary research and we done pushed it to the limits. All you dudes finished. The king counting cattle up with brother Reggie. When I'm in Oakland, smoking, bro, they love the Chevy. Back in the day, it was the spokes on the chariot. Long procession when the king got carried out to every spot. Woman looking nice as ISIS. I read ancient texts, so my advice is priceless. Nubian gold, your ice don't entice us. Beating me harder than counting grains in your spices. Your heart was beating, but your brain dead, you're lifeless. Yo, they ain't nothing like us, yo. Don't try to make me mad. Make me smile and say you love me, man. That's real right there. Yeah, come on. You should listen to your main man's advice. Do a YouTube and apologize like Dice. Or the back fade coming like the Antichrist. Egyptologists see me reading and said that I'm nice. I got a speller with your name on it. I'm like Sargon. You the type of dude wake up and your car gone. Told, cause of the money you owe. Before you stream, you should clean up that humble abode. Like I'm not in city for my woman in gold. I keep the pseudos running, people coming in droves. You catch me on a live stream with Pan-African James. When we building, call us by our African names. I'm for the children. And ain't nothing happened to change. We on that black hype, so we still packing them things for protection. Got connections. My complexion, pure black, that's the essence. Make me smile. You love me? Show me some love. All right. Peace to the people, what's up? Let's get ready for another good build today. Go on and like the video. Make sure you got your notifications turned on, like, subscribe, everything, and let's get this popping. Play one more song and we'll get right into it. Ain't no need for me to rush. Here we go. Yeah, and I'ma work cause I ain't going out lazy, bruh. Thought he was conscious, but the homie just played me, bruh. The house of consciousness is going out crazy, bruh. They crazy, bruh. Alright, it's getting kinda dirty in these YouTube streets. The Amon-Ra squad, God thinking you dudes weak. Islam or Judaism, where you learn what you dudes teach. The West African rappers slapping with that voodoo speech. All that sub-Saharan terror about a kufu feet. I'm like Norma, that agricultural farmer that grew you wheat for the storehouses. We feed the Hebrews and lead the people when we defeat the feeble. They wanna know, polite rip me off, but Sonetta paid me my money though, that mean he 100. And I'ma work cause I ain't going out lazy, bruh. Thought he was conscious, but the homie just played me, bruh. The house of consciousness is going out crazy, bruh. They crazy, bruh. With the Jews, I rock the pinky. I think Jesus got to save me. A doctor save me, a Dr. Inky. I cop the copper jewels on blue and red. I'm not the chakra doctor y'all claim woke. But you in bed, you won't pop a chopper, you Grandmaster J. You just talking. Punks turn the other cheek and you will walk away. Y'all gon' have to pardon my Moorish. That's Taharka Bay. I'm on that black African power on my darkest day. And that's my brother Ankh stomping them other punks. We brought them gators to Italy, you loving the Moors. And now I'm teaching from my shrine like brother Jabari. Scoping the savannah cause I'm on another safari. Tasha K showed us Frank record. Young Pharaoh just losing his mind and y'all can't help him. I know one thing, you're a fool if you're still out here donating to Umar school. That shit through. And I'ma work cause I ain't going out lazy, bruh. Thought he was conscious, but the homie just played me, bruh. The house of consciousness is going out crazy, bruh. They crazy, bruh. Look, you showing your hidden colors like Tariq Nasheed. A bunch of pseudo information I don't think I need. Probably lying on the text, ask Divine or Zion Lex. Just get that microphone ready. With Metal Netta, I'm Stone Jetty, a Ujahu, a Saw Imhotep. Y'all probably timid still on them Bobby Hemmett teachings. I'm in Gozy with the DNA. You cats corny and it's killing me too. You talk that black shit, but you look Arab like Gorilla Hebrew. You need therapy, they telling me just chillin', be cool. I'm a magi orchard, you a sad guy talking. And I'm a work cause I ain't going out lazy, bruh. Thought he was conscious, but the homie just played me, bruh. The house of consciousness
hey, what's up when y'all rolling the building?
Bruh. They crazy, bruh.
Peace to the chat. Is it another verse on this? No, that's it. What's up? What's up? All right, let me get this on the screen, right. Peace to the people. Everybody in the building. I've been troubleshooting my little streamer, and so I got my little stuff back right. But, you know, if they cut me off, then I'll be back. Shout out to RTP in the building consistently. What's up with Yurik? Shaz Moo. Saran, what's up? So the question is Osiris an Egyptian god? The typical answer you'll get if you use ChatGPT or Google before you take the information that you learn from this video and you put it in ChatGPT as your sources to make it change, it'll be like, yes, of course. Osiris is an Egyptian god. But we like to look at old sources, you know what I'm saying, sources closer to the point. This is a secondary source, and I'm going to start here at Diodorus Siculus, right? Just for us to get a bit of a perspective on, because he's narrating back to his people his knowledge of how the ancient Egyptians seen things. And so before we go in on that, let's just lay out some of the details about Osiris. We know him as Osiris. Ancient Egyptians knew him as Wasir. You probably, I mean, you know, it's not about how I'm pronouncing it, but we got Wasir. And some would even go to say Asar. Right? We all probably have heard the story of Osiris and his dismemberment and all of the, and what have we. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Grab it. Yep, all right. I'm right here. We all heard the stories of Osiris and his dismemberment. We heard various stories of that. There's one version where he winds up in a tree in Byblos. But when we start to investigate the origins of Osiris, it leads us to the south. And even in this secondary source by Diodorus Siculus in book 3, we see he says, they say, see, I always stop stuff too much and I overanalyze it. But just trip off how we got to look at this. Because right now, he ain't really saying, he's saying, see, he's saying that the Egyptians say. They say also that the Egyptians are colonists sent out by the Ethiopians.
right? So to him, the Ethiopians would be, you feel me, those south of Egypt. And that Osiris having been the leader of the colony. If we was just left with this secondary source and no other source alone, accompanying it, no other source with it, we'd be taking it that Osiris was an Ethiopian. They say also that the Egyptians are colonists sent out by the Ethiopians, Osiris being the leader of the colony. So before they became a colony, they would not be Egyptians yet. They would be Ethiopians, and then one day somebody would decide to send somebody out to form a colony. And from Diodorus Siculus' perspective, that would have been Osiris. I'm pretty sure we could all see that. And why is he saying this? There is another secondary source we could look at, written by Plutarch at about the same time, that says similar things. The only problem is when I was trying to pull that source up, there's some problem at the University of Chicago right now, and it's not coming up. But what he says in Isis and Osiris is Osiris was dark because he comes from the south. So, and he also says in that book, Isis was born black and ruddy. Now, oftentimes when we see the effigy of Osiris, any image of Osiris, we can find him in multiple colors. It's kind of like exaggerated how we find him in other colors. Most often, you'd see a black Osiris. There's a green Osiris, or you can see other color Osiris, right? And we talk about that color symbolism. Most Egyptologists say that is linked to death. Some would go far as I would even closer to agreeing it has something to do with his divine monarchy in the afterlife, the sense of being like the king in the afterlife, right? But, the divinely appointed king in the afterlife. But we should not overlook the fact that on certain ancient Egyptian vignettes and I won't say stelae, but vignettes, maybe sometimes stelae, and on statues, and we got 3 different categories of Egyptian art where these artistic representations are different. Nevertheless, sometimes when they use the black color, it is an indication that one is from the south. So when Plutarch says Osiris is dark because he was from the south, that's a secondary source to kind of corroborate what some might say the black color uses of Osiris is, or what it represents, right? So we don't stop at secondary sources, and we just reference them to see what people were saying. But if we were forced to, we'd have one attestation that says Osiris. Actually, it says, they say also that the Egyptians are colonists sent out by the Ethiopians, Osiris having been the leader of the colony. And we'd have another that says Osiris was dark because he came from the south. If we went further into those secondary sources, back into an older time, maybe about 450 BC, we come across Herodotus, who I don't recall speaking directly about Osiris. I mean, you know, he showed which Greek gods was which, but about the origins, he spoke more about the origins of all the Greek gods coming from the Egyptians. What we'll see here is a lot of the Egyptian gods came from the south. And it's hard to say came from the Nubians because at this time that wasn't necessarily a people group. They came from the south. So I'm talking about Osiris real quick, but I'm about to detour just to show us something. That this is not a phenomenon. It's not exclusive to Osiris. As we see the Amen sanctuary, where they say Jebel Barkal in the Sudan, which they call the Pure Mountain by the Egyptians, and it is an isolated butte on the right north bank of the Nile, on the southwest edge of the modern Karima, Sudan, 354 kilometers northwest of Khartoum. Located just below the fourth cataract, okay? Let's talk about this. We always get the known map. So people could keep it in perspective. Right? We come down here, all through Egypt. You leave what we know as Egypt. Come all the way, dang. Leave what we know as Egypt, come all the way down here. Now they say beyond the third cataract, right? There go the third cataract. But see, this is tricky because saying beyond the third cataract does not indicate just how far down you gotta go. And see, this is the bend of the Nile that actually makes the Nile take up so much more space, because as we see for a minute, it turns back and heads south. Now, around this area is what we're looking at. I'm about to make it a little bit bigger so we can all see just how far down even the ancient Egyptians said the home of their chief deities were. Right? Now we look right here, we see Napata, NPT, and we see, it says Jebel Barkal, but I say Du Wab. That means mountain pure. Okay? I said Ju Wab. The pure mountain. Now, let me talk about this for a minute, because if I just tell you the pure mountain, you ain't gonna get everything we learn from knowing the Medu Neter. You see, the word that they equate to at one of the terms that they equate to a priest is a wab. A wab would be a particular type of priest, purification. Obviously, we know this, right? Meaning if wab means to purify, and if wab is a particular type of priest, we would probably think that that priest had something to do with the purification process of making sure that one is pure. But this is not just the pure mountain. This is actually the mountain of Amen, as we see here, pure mountain. Now, if we come down, it says, a hill marked in the upper limit of the Pharaonic settlement of the Nile following Egypt's conquest of Nubia and Kush about 1500 BC. So let's talk about that. Whether we accept that sentence the way it's written, and I'm forced to, just to stay within the realms of, scholarship here, we'll just give our commentary on it. The last time I heard somebody taking something over because it was the home of their God, that's like that's happening right now someplace in the Levant areas. I would not propose that the ancient Egyptians went down to what they considered the home of their nature in conquest at this time period. Some of the fortresses, see, this is the problem. All of the fortresses that a lot of them, Buhin, Simna, and a lot of the southern fortresses that are along the Nile, that Egyptologists tell us were built in order to keep the Nubians out of Egypt. Those fortresses were manned by Nubians, not Egyptians. So that will let us know, that's kind of crazy. That at least lets us know that what we think we know about them fortresses ain't exactly what they told us. They wasn't just built to keep out the Nubians. We even find letters and correspondences between two fortresses where they was all Nubians talking. Southerners, Mijap, one particular group from Mijap. So they say, here the Egyptians founded a frontier town called Napata. No, that's completely not true. Manu Ampin, looking at the work of Professor Manu Ampin, we can see that Napata and the areas, particularly further south by Kerma, have been established almost far back as 8500 BC. Yep, I said that right. I didn't say 8,500 years ago. I said 8,500 BC. So if we Egyptianize everything, we could say they founded Napata. But if you don't think it was no people there before they got there, you lightweight crazy. That's all in the heart of Kush. A sanctuary to their state god that will become the most important in Nubia. Now see how they doing that? This is all Egyptianization. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to disprove this Egyptological stance with a primary source that's going to tell you different than what they're saying. The Egyptians believed that the hill was the residence, of the primary form of Amen of Karnak at Thebes. Oh, they messing that all up. So why am I saying that? All right, so look, Amen of Karnak at Thebes is exactly that. Amen of Napata is Amen of Napata. Now, I'm not saying them is different Amens. Thank you. Shout out to Yuri with the Talking about Harkuf ran into all them people down there. Exactly. They talking about they established the city down there. Now they're telling us in their minds the mountain was both a creation site and a rediscovery source of the Egyptian kingship. A rediscovered source of Egyptian kingship. So they rediscovered the source of where Egyptian kingship come from. Now, why is this significant? Let me show you why is this significant. A little bit above here, in the areas between, I think, the second and third cataract, we have Cousteau, and y'all can, we'll pull that right up. Let me show you. Right, and we're gonna go right to Cousteau. Oh, now they're saying it's further up. They're saying it's further up. So let's see. But we're still about to show you. I want to see which cataract they said. They really didn't say by cataract. Y'all can pull that up, but I'm just about to just show you this. Because they're talking about they rediscovered, not Egyptologists rediscovered, but ancient Egyptians rediscovered the origins of Egyptian kingship. Right? All right, well, I'm going to just show you the Cousteau incense burner. Because that's what I was coming for. And now just let us to know how far Cousteau is opposite of Bellina. We can see how far down it is on the map, right? Now, when we come to this Cousteau incense burner, this is one of, let's see, I can just go to the pictures and click through it, hopefully. All right, now here we go. On this Cousteau incense burner, way down in Nubia, at about, what you want to say, some date this back to, I think it goes far back. I think Reggie said it got pushed back to 3600 BC. Shout out to the Black Raven for that contribution and always keeping this show going. Appreciate you. One thing that we need to find on here is this image right in the middle. A seated man with a white crown on. Again, thanks to the Black Raven and all contributors to this channel for making it pop. Shout out for the contribution. It's much appreciated. Now, if you look right here, we actually see a rosette. Right? The same rosette we see on the Scorpion Mace head, on the Narmer palette, and on all of these things. Above that, we can see a I don't want to say pre-dynastic, because if you know a dynasty is a family that ruled, it was families that ruled as we see right here. So what we see actually, if you look at my mouse, this is a falcon on top of a Shrek, right? Or what have we? On top of a palace facade. And so, in a sense, when they say that we get the symbols of kingship, now you can see he's on a boat. And this is a boat back here with a lion on it. This is a boat back here with what appears to be a captive on it. Right? So in Cousteau, indeed, we find some of the first symbols that ancient Egyptians ever used to say that they was a king. This is more proof to my other point that I was talking about the other day. Because I said Tashamahu, which would be what we translate as Upper Egypt. I said Tashamahu must have spread all the way down, dang near to where Simna, where Simroset set up his Simna stellas, Simroset the third. Because what would be the name of Upper Egypt if not? You would have Tamehu being Lower Egypt, Tashamahu being Upper Egypt. Then what would be Upper Egypt? See, they didn't have no name for that. So they extended, when they extended the borders of Egypt, they extended Tashamahu, which would be Upper Egypt, which would cause more of what we know as Nubia, right, to be included within the borders of what we know as Egypt. But that's a whole nother time period. That's thousands of years later. Thousands of years before, the first people ever with an Egyptian crown on was down in Cousteau. Right? So let's go look at that one more time. They way down here. Let's zoom out the map. And then go back to the source. They ain't even no place around here. They're around this area. All right. So what else they got to say? Now let's read that sentence again. This mountain was both a creation site and a rediscovered source of Egyptian kingship. So they rediscovered the source of Egyptian kingship and say, hey man, our kingship come from Nubia. Who wanna contend with that statement? Let me show you how far down they was. Down here. This is the source of Egyptian kingship. But see, we're going beyond Egyptian kingship. We're off into, now we're going to talk about it because some come to the conclusion that Osiris must have simply been a deified ancestor. Right? And there's a lot to that because even when you can say it's pseudo or not, or it came up from the Roman time period or whatever, what you have you. If we go to Aswan and we look at real sources, we will really see they had something in these ancient texts that I read called the Tomb of Osiris. And it was on Elephantine Island, I think, or Philae. Now, again, they could have said, no, they built that in whatever times, whatever. I'm not tripping off that. I'm looking at all of this Southern attribution to where they knew that didn't have nothing to do with nothing up here or beyond. As some people would take Osiris and make him Asar and place him in the Levant, as I think I've heard Zion Lex do before. And Zachariah Sitchin, and a bunch of others. So they rediscovered that their kingship came from down here, but you also got to peep. We're not talking about a king. We're talking about Amen. And then we're going to see how this plays into Osiris. Because as you see here, this is what? Kush. You know, the greater areas of Kush. What have we? Napata, Merowe. What have we? Yeah, Kush. So if you wanted to talk about the geographical region of Nubia where there's gold found, some will call this Upper Nubia. Right? Now what else they telling us? This fact was visibly proven by the mountain's pinnacle a 75-meter high, in which a natural form they perceived, amongst other things, a colossal royal Uraeus wearing the white crown. So if we was to go back to the Cousteau incense burner, this white crown, remember the shape of this crown, and then when we see this mountain, let's see if it's on, you see this mountain right here? They thought, now some could say they thought that, some could say they made it, they carved that mountain, y'all can say whatever. Nevertheless, this was the origin to them of their god Amen and his home. But let's talk about it. So it says, during the New Kingdom, the Pharaoh's apparent use of this feature is evident to prove to the Nubians that the god of the mountain from the beginning of time had intended them, his bodily sons, to rule Cush as part of Egypt. For real? Dang, that's crazy. It says, later, after the disunification, a line of native Cushite rulers emerged here. All right, so this is just an Egyptianized way to tell it. But we can show plenty of, I can show, let me see. Well, we could, yeah, that's kind of like right, but the question is, which Cushite rulers, which we know we could show them all the way in the first intermediate period, but how many Cushite rulers that we could show actually existed before 750 BC? I think about 4 that I know I could source. Or maybe even 5. Who revived this tradition and asserted their own claim as the god's new sons to rule Upper Egypt, and ultimately of all Egypt as the 25th dynasty. So to rephrase that, I would like to say that the Cushites were always seen as fundamentalists. I mean, I don't know if I want to say that. I can say we got evidence to prove that the Cushites were fundamentalists of what we know as Egyptian tradition. So, you know, when I say fundamentalists, they say they're supposed to do it by the book. And when you start doing things a different way, it's always some people who be like considered the fundamentalists who do it the way you're supposed to do it. And that's who the Cushites would be to them. And how do I know this? Because every single time they besought some particular custom of the religion, and I don't want to call it a religion, but a custom of their ritualistic traditions or what have you, like a particular dance that needed to be done, they needed to go to the south to find somebody who knew how to do it. They got particular Nubian dances that aren't just dances like you grooving, ritualistic dances that the priestesses of Hathor knew how to do. So it's not just, now think about all of this. A lot of this has to do with being in the physical, in the carnate, when I'm talking about doing a dance that comes from the south, right, in order to have your ritual the way it needs to be done, or your festival. You're not looking towards no gods for that dance. You're looking for real people. Maybe it's to please the natures or whatever, but you would have to beseech after real people who knew how to do it. And so this became a connection with, now I don't want to say this became, but in this we can find the importance of the connection with the priestesses of Hathor. Right? Originally, also, some of the first priestesses of Hathor is women from the south. And one of the dances we talk about is the Kes, or the Kesi dance. Notice how that is so close to the term Kush. It just don't got the H. But I always tripped off that. Anyway, we'll talk about it.
A century later, after the Assyrians' expulsion of the Cushite kings of Egypt, their successors in the Sudan, for nearly another millennia, continued to attribute their kingship to Amen of Jebel Barkal. So what does this mean? All the way down to the time when the Romans took over Egypt and they couldn't penetrate Nubia, it was because the Nubians had their strength and still venerating the god Amen of Napata. Right? So when we go back to when we detoured, and if we go back to what Diodorus Siculus say about Osiris, you think he was outside of the knowledge of how Amen also resides in Jebel Barkal? And that all of these Egyptian gods did not originate in Egypt? That a lot of them did not. If you mix that with, again, the other source, all of these secondary sources, we'll start to see how they make the primary sources stand out. Before we go and get into that, I do want to pull up one other thing I think I could show you. I think I got that quote. I forgot I had that quote in another presentation. Maybe I got it. We're going to see. No, this is just simply showing that linguistically he was called the Great Black One, Osiris. And how the ancient Egyptian would say that would be Kim-er. Right? And we could talk about it, but I just showed you here that in the text corpus, this is the epithet for a deity, the Great Black One. So we're not doing anything else but seeing how Osiris was seen. And here's his counterpart, Aset, for some strange reason, also being called a black woman here. Right? Woman black. This is out of the vertebral, and this is Schwarzer Frau. This is Isis as a black woman. All right? And so, and then I'll show you this, and you could go into the text corpus and clearly see that, well, I don't want to confuse us. This is just a determinative that is also, this is actually a word, anem, but if you look up this determinative, it is anem, right? And you see that means the skin, and they clearly put of a man, or the hide of an animal, or skin color. So really, when you see that determinative, they want you to focus on the color. If they put anem, then they really want you to focus on the skin color, or the hide of the animal, or the skin of the man. So they wrote this out as woman black when talking about Aset. Now, this is the source, the book I came here for, but I would like us to see that I used it for another quote in this slide. Still relevant to what we're discussing here, Aset, the counterpart of Osiris, was born black and ruddy, woman, endowed with life and sweet of love. And their offspring, Horus himself, also appeared to inherit this blackness. But notice it here, he's being caused to be black like Heru or red like Seth. This doesn't say to cause Heru to be black. This says to cause another to be black like Heru.
So this is a comparative where they're saying you're going to be black like Horus is. Now, how is black coming into this when we're talking about Osiris simply being from the south? Because I'm going to show you that it's not working when I try to pull this up. But if it was working, right, I'm going to say Plutarch and Osiris, book 4. If this was working, let's see if it works. See, it's just spinning circles. We'd be able to see that in this book, he says with his mouth that Osiris was dark because he came from the south. But then he say a few other things about him being dark. But see, it's just spinning, so I don't want to mess nothing up. Right? So if anybody wonders, because when we reference the different colors that Osiris appear in, they never seen Osiris for real. Well, I'm talking about Plutarch definitely did, or Diodorus Siculus, right? That's what I'm saying, exactly. He's talking about Osiris is not a person. But that's what we're scrutinizing. I don't want to say exactly, but that's what I'm explaining now. They never really seen him, right? So they made him out with such an effigy for a particular reason. They're not really saying, I seen him and he was black. So then why did they choose to make him black? For symbolic purposes that we start to understand goes beyond just being a divine monarch in the afterlife. But yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at, the sheriff. It's not that we even scrutinizing black right now. It's simply that we see the connection or a possible connection, right? And so it's not that they even say Osiris was black. I show you that all over the place. We're going to see that one more time. It's not that they say he was black. It's that they say, see here, we got Kimmy, the black one. But now we got some reason that it don't just mean something about divine monarchy. You could also, like Plutarch said, have indications that he was from the south. So if there was a tomb, there's not no tomb of Amen. I'm not even talking about, we're going to go into this. We're going to go into it because we can see how pseudo it was. We can see whether it was made during the Greek time period and all of this stuff. But let's be clear, it ain't no tomb of the ones that they didn't think lived. Is there a tomb of Ptah? Is there a tomb of Ra? No. But the ancient Egyptians, and somebody gonna work on the periodization. If y'all want to look that up and put it in the chat, had what is called the tomb of Osiris, whether it was pseudo or not. So what would that mean to us? Was it a symbolic tomb? Which one of their gods do they have tombs for? Thank you. Why would there be a tomb of Osiris is what I think you're asking. Because I don't know. Why would there be tombs for other gods? If he was just a Netcher that they never seen and they don't make tombs for other gods, why does he have one? Anybody? So whether or not, again, we just have to take it how it is, whether that thing was a That's what I'm saying. This will not cause you to say a god in a tomb, but you should look at it like maybe he was considered a venerated ancestor. You ever thought about that? That this may, why would they have a god in a tomb? I don't know about he is the tomb, but the tomb of Osiris, I don't think that means, I think they thought that that is where Osiris rested. It's part of his narrative. Thank you, Kim White. So if we looking from the thank you, even if we go to the Jesus's tomb perspective, let's just not even talk about in that narrative whether it was true or not. Then they would say that that was something carnate in the flesh at one time that used a tomb for a burial place. That's now, I'm not saying what we think. I'm saying, why would they have that? Now, I can show you the tomb of Osiris in the Medu Neter. So that means some ancient Egyptians was talking about this. Yeah, we do have mounds. You're right. And we got mounds, but this tomb is just a... So we'll go into that a little bit later, but that's a question that we want. If they only seen Osiris as a deity, why did he have a different point of, he had something others didn't have? So I'm not exactly suggesting, yes, I am suggesting that. The question is, are you suggesting Osiris was a real person at one time that became deified, or that he was created based on a general idea of deifying ancestors? I would be suggesting the former, or that he was a real person at one time. No, I would be questioning that. So, all right, then let me ask y'all this. Like, why is, I could have swore I just put it on the screen. Let me see. I'm getting lost in my own presentation because I know I put this on the screen. And so we have to go back real quick. Let me show y'all what I put on the screen. Right? Remember when we were going over the secondary sources of what those who went there and said the Egyptians said? And then we were going over this source. Now, let's just deal with this. They say that the Egyptians are colonists sent by the Ethiopians, Osiris having been the leader of the colony. So now, if he was the leader of the colony, was he a god when he was the leader of the colony? Or was he just a human? Damn. I'm not even saying, look, nobody is an authority. Definitely I'm not. Theodorus Siculus is not. The closest we're going to get to authoritative here is when we look at the primaries. So just because my arguments sound like I'm stating it authoritatively, there's room for question even in my argument. But what I present to you is this secondary source that says, and I got a simple question for you. How the hell could he been talking about a god here? He couldn't have been. He was talking about a human. They say also that Egyptians are colonists. Gods ain't, we know Egyptians are humans. We know colonists are humans, and they're sent out by the Ethiopians are humans, Osiris being the leader of the colony. Now, all of a sudden, he ain't human. So again, I said, just because it sounds like I'm posing it as this is a foregone conclusion, it definitely is not one to me. This is a question video. It said, was Osiris an Egyptian god? Right? And so, at least in this statement, he is being posed as an individual who led a group of Ethiopians down the Nile, right, as a leader of a colony. Now, if you look at some of the detail of what they said in that other source I just presented, they say certain little words we got to pay attention to, but I think this word is going to be outside of the parentheses. So I might have to pull this source up right now. But if we look at this, yeah, it is outside of the parentheses, but nevertheless, it says Aset was born. See, we should go look at the Medu Neter on this. A Dendera text that says Aset was born a black and ruddy woman. Now, we could simply go, oh man. Let me go to the text corpus. Well, I wanted to stress how she was born because the birth of that Neter, they talking about the birth of the Neter. Okay, yeah, she is a goddess and she was a Neter that was born a black and ruddy woman. I'll accept that. But I've been given nothing by anyone to when I question whether Diodorus Siculus was talking about Osiris as a god in that instance. No, he knows that Osiris was venerated and worshipped too. He know that. He was right there. He know all about Osiris, right? So then, he's just saying, speaking on origins, and saying that this possibly originated from this deified ancestor. But let's go look into the text corpus and kill it for once and for all. I'm going to show a few things. But he said more to let you know that he's talking about people. He says, in the larger part of the customs of the Egyptians are they hold Ethiopian. The colonists still preserve their ancient manners. So they got customs and traditions from a god, I guess. For of the two kinds of writing which the Egyptians have, that which is known as popular Demotic is learned by everyone, while that which is called sacred is understood only by the priests of the Egyptians, who learned it from their fathers as one of the things which is not divulged. But amongst the Ethiopians, everyone uses these form of letters. See, he was in the time period when the Medu Neter was falling out in the north, but in the south, it was still holding strong. Then they start switching it up. And I just want to put this last quote. He says, and the majority of them, and especially those who dwell along the river, are black in color and have flat noses and woolly hair. Our point is that he said Osiris was a leader of a colony. Now, what do we find ancient Egyptian text that corroborates this? We have, and what we're going to do is, before we go to that, it was something else I wanted to look at real quick. In the, it was something that just came to me. I was like, let me look at that real quick. But forget it, it flew away. So maybe we'll just go into the text corpus right now. And I would like you guys to read the text that is on the screen. It says, I looked before me to see Osiris, the Cushite, coming into me, while two sons of Anubis were before him, and two sons of Wet behind him, and two sons of Reret brought him ashore. Does everyone see here that even the ancient, now I'm looking at, again, this is a Demotic text, first half of the 3rd century AD. So let's talk about that. Who was in control? The Romans, right? And whoever wrote this text in Demotic says he sees Osiris, the Cushite. All right, so now we got Diodorus Siculus. They say it was used that late. We got Diodorus Siculus saying that Osiris led a colony out of Ethiopia, which to them is Cush. And we got an ancient Egyptian text that's not saying Osiris is an Egyptian god, first of all. Whether he's a Neter or not, we'll question whether he came from human venerated origins. But let's just state for the facts here that they saying he came from Cush. Now, if you click this term here, IKS, this is a demotic way to say a Neter or something venerated. It is a divine epithet for something from Cush. So y'all can see right here, Wasir, that's our Osiris. We see Wasir. In this time period, they're using definite articles. So we see Wasir, Osiris, Ha, which is a masculine definite article for the. Then it says Akish, I guess. And they translate that as Cushite. We see Auf, he comes, and there's going to be two me some here, but this is some late Egyptian that I don't really understand all of it. So now when I click this to verify that they not just messed up calling Osiris a Cushite one time. So this now you see the twist on this video. Even though we spent the majority of time talking about whether Osiris had human origins or not, the ultimate twist that I want you to see is that his human or theological or mythological origins are in the South. He is Osiris the Cushite. And so, okay, well, let's say, well, just because these people seeing it like that, that's even better. Because everything went back down to the South. Everything they all know. As soon as when the Romans came, we got these fights for Thebes. They couldn't really penetrate too much below Thebes until later in the time period. Then we get the Bach Treaty coming up out of their final penetration. Wait a minute. No, that come up out of the Arabs' penetration. The Romans, I don't even know how far they penetrated down. They eventually did make way to Meroe. But the focus here is that, A,
this would appear to be a Cushitic god. The same way when we was looking at Amen of Jebel Barkal, right? This is all the way down in the Sudan. So let's click this term. Demotic, a place name. Now look at this. Trip off it though. They say Ethiopian or Nubian as a divine epithet. So clearly they could have put Osiris the Ethiopian. Or they could have put, are they hitting Napata and not Meroe? Okay, cool. Or they could have put Osiris the Nubian, right? We see that. They put Osiris the Cushite, which is totally fine. You come in here to scrutinize this term, and you'll see, I think we were seeing that a lot of this was used in a text that we were scrutinizing yesterday. Here's another term. It seems to say ate. Ate in, now you notice how that K switched to a G right here. So now they say Agesh. And this is still Kush. Shout out to Chosen Knowledge. Thanks for becoming a supporter and a member of the channel. I appreciate you. Now look at this. Let's click this term, because we know this is the one that brought us here, which means a divine epithet for somebody from Kush. Oh yeah, that is true. I agree exactly what you're saying, Amen. Osiris the Cushite is different than saying Osiris the Nubian, but for the sense of them using their colloquialisms and how they had that in there, they had Ethiopian. You know, it wouldn't mean Ethiopian either. But from their sense of the perspective, they're trying to understand these Southern Africans and just putting all kinds of generic terms on them. But more appropriately, Osiris the Cushite will be just that, the Cushite. And they didn't say nothing about Nehesi or nothing. So I appreciate that contribution, Amen Kafra. Let's click this other term here that is before the Akesh or something that means Kush and trip off it. It is Ate. Now watch this. What this say? A Nubian magic priest or a shaman. So even though it's only 14 occurrences and I went over those occurrences, we start to see that they have these different. So now I guess this is a Nubian shaman in Kush. Akesh is being a divine epithet, so I don't know how they're doing it like that. But if we just go back to Osiris, now I do want to look up that tomb of Osiris in the text corpus. It'll probably be hard for me to find it. I just was looking at it. I should have saved the page. I definitely know I need to do what's here. Let me see. How about if I just put the whole English and see if I can find that? And we're going to see how they talked about this thing. They ain't giving it to me that way. So I'm going to have to take a harder search. But I had just seen it in here. That's what caused me to speak on it. Are we going to see if we can find it? And y'all can tell me, I mean, we're analyzing this together. I already put out my non-authoritative disclaimer, so I'm not gonna keep saying that. I'm just saying, you feel me? We could analyze it and see what it looks like.
And if I don't find it, I ain't tripping. Yeah, it'll be way too hard for me to try to find it in another way. So I ain't tripping off that. But just to get back to what I would possibly start to, I can't make no conclusions, but I would probably start to see and research. Anointed Sadat, we appreciate the contribution to the channel. Appreciate y'all always for keeping it popping like that. Thank you. What we got? We gonna see if we can find that. How is another way I can find that tomb of Osiris when I seen it earlier today? Let me see. Maybe I'm gonna go out of the demonic and do both. And look one more time. My man say his origin is from Kush. The South was a personification of is consistent with his origin from the South and as the Nile inundation. Okay, I don't disagree with that. Now, so many of these that I might really find it now. But as I look over this, I'll mention anything relevant that we find. And just to mention, there was an Osiris of Osiris, which is up in the north. So I don't want to leave out anything anybody could try to use to contradict what I'm saying. But we also know that Kim the black one, would be the 10th known up in the north. But we talking about origins and how they seen this concept to originate. And now here's a term to trip off, and we're gonna go in on this later. Nefer, the perfect being, the complete one who is Osiris, they say. But that's the perfect being. So let's see. He got so many epithets. Man, I heard somebody, what was that? Anonymous Hebrew? He was on there messing up the hike soaks and everything the other night. Somebody want to go get him real quick? Make the show get good? Somebody call Anonymous Hebrew real quick. Tell him we need to build one time. I seen the stretcher of Osiris. And I'm still just looking. But I'm not about to Oh, you in Camden right now. Shout out to the people that is watching from far, far away. Let me see. And I won't spend too much time doing this. I just want to show a few. I got so many things I'll be wanting to show. So every show just be something different that I can show, basically. I mean, because my theory about Kemet having gates on it, I found too many sources to make us see that Kemet has gates. But I just seen something that made me think about that, and I don't want to take us too far off track. I haven't found anything about the tomb of Osiris here, so I'm not even tripping. And I'm not about to keep on looking. I'll do the whole show on that. Because I haven't read those at the station, so we'd be able to read them live if I got to pull it up. It's only 2 more pages. So I'm not going to quit. I'll look at these final 2 pages. And I wonder, how did I see that in the text whippers? Now look right here, we talking about Osiris. They got the black one, as you see, but they say that means something else. It's starting to mean more about him being from the South. It's starting to appear that way. But yeah, I missed that one. What's this right here? This last one. All right, this is close. The sarcophagus of Osiris. Can I ask y'all what other niches got a sarcophagus? See, I looked and looked and looked, and I came to the last one. I didn't find the tomb of Osiris, but we got a minor reward. Right? The sarcophagus of Osiris. So did they put a god? Oh, okay, I know. Yeah, they did. No, this is from the story. I'm explaining. Without looking into it further, this will be from the story of his dismemberment. No, that ain't it. This ain't it. This will be from the story of his dismemberment when his brother built him a Nabank, I would say, a jetette. They're saying a jetette. His brother built him a jetette. So if we go into this story, it's probably going to be the story. Let's see. They don't got no occurrences of it. So then you could be right, Patah. But nevertheless, this says the sarcophagus of Osiris. I think this will go back to the story of Osiris getting fitted for that coffin. Remember? At that party. You know what I'm talking about. In the story of Osiris being dismembered. Well, one thing I would say for sure is I don't think I got enough evidence to say anything conclusive, but the question remains, that ain't just no God. I mean, you know, you can't, we ain't doing the knowledge all the way just to write off Osiris as an Egyptian god when he was seen at different times as different things. And now, dang. Oh, I'm just going to Google it. They're going to take me to something really pseudo. Archaeology.com. So this is not what I was talking about. This is not my source. I'm simply looking at what archaeology.com is saying about the tomb of Osiris. A team of Spanish and Italian Egyptologists have unearthed a tomb complex on the west banks of the Nile, opposite the modern city of Luxor, that features a chapel and a statue of the god Osiris. According to the announcement of the published by Luxor, the team believes this unusual architecture of the tomb, which probably dates sometimes between 760 and 525 BC, shows that, like the Osirian complex in Abydos, it was modeled on the mythological tomb of Osiris and was intended to celebrate the god's mysteries. Below the Osiris statue, the team found the tomb's burial chamber. Now, I know about this, and let's talk about it. What I mean is, if you talking about something built from 760 to 525, that'll be between Nubian and Persian, maybe Nubian and Persian rule. So, to argue that this was like a Greek building, that would be one thing. Now, here's another thing. If you're probing whether it had something to do with a real person, Osiris, where you already have it somewhat answered, that if it could be substantiated that it's a mythological tomb, then all we have is only a mythological tomb built for only one nature, which is Osiris. But we don't have a mythological tomb built for Amen or Ra or Ptah. So now it's a different question that this begs is like, why a mythological tomb for Osiris, right? And let's see if we can find a better source than that, because this ain't necessarily what I was talking about. Let me show you. I'm talking about Elephantine or Elephantine, right? Let's see if I can find it. Or maybe that's how I can find it in the text corpus. Now notice what they saying lines up with it being late, because it was in Demotic when I heard them talking about it. And I don't think that got nothing to do with the original origin stories. I'm simply trying to get into the mind of those people to see if they was trying to say that he was a human at one time. And so since I hadn't heard much in Egyptology about the tomb of Osiris, I only hear that like on the internet. I don't want to do too much about that. But what had shocked me this morning is I had seen it in the text corpus. All right. So this is about Osiris the Cushite, which has nothing to do with a tomb. But it definitely saying that he came from the south. So it corroborates what Plutarch and Theodore Siculus said. Now, is Osiris the Cushite mean that he wasn't Egyptian? If it said Osiris the Egyptian, then it would say Osiris the Egyptian. Y'all want to go into this text and get more of the context? It's not going to do nothing to throw off the fact that he's Osiris the Cushite. Let's go up. I am Atum of the bark of Ra. I am Eratatu, the shrine of something. I look before me to see Osiris the Cushite coming to me. That don't change nothing. Osiris is still the Cushite coming to him. I'm not reading that whole text. It's boring. But it's interesting to find that these people were saying that ain't no Egyptian stuff. Osiris is the shit. Right? So what y'all think about that? Here's another one that we should scrutinize. I'm going to click this. It says Pa Ta Nehes, the land of Nehesi. See, we in Demotic text now. We already got Osiris the Black. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Tell him, Yurick. We got Osiris the Cushite, and we got Osiris the Black, Kimmy. But they just want to act like the black means something else. Now look at this. Somebody said Wasir was a real person. He probably could have been at one time. At least that's what Theodore Siculus said. A venerated ancestor. Even think about the mythological stories of all the Netchers. In most of the mythological stories of the Netchers, nobody else is cast as a human. See, when Sekhmet and Hathor tricked Ra and all that stuff, they not humans. They all in the cosmos and stuff. But what happened
Somebody said never a person. I don't know. It's not that improbable. All of the sources say that it could have possibly been the sheriff. They don't say that he was, but they lead to saying that he could have possibly been. Like, how you be a what did the source say? How are you a colonist, the sheriff? How are you the leader of a colony if you're not a person? I'd like to see you answer that. How could he have led a colony out of Ethiopia if he ain't a person? If he wasn't a person? Not to us, but to that person who said he led the colony. If a person said he led a colony, they was talking about a person, bro. So, oh no, we're going to go back and look at this Patan Nahes. Did I skip it? Did I say Osiris was a person? No. I showed you my sources that show that we could possibly... Dang, I missed Patan Nahes. I showed you my sources that said we could possibly see it that way. We're going to look at Patan Nahes, the land of Nahesi, and to see what all they saying about that. Here you go. How many attestations? It got 33. So remember when I be saying at one point in time, we can say that Nubia turned into a place in the country? When they start saying the land of the Nahes, then you can start maybe arguing that. Because then we find the crown of Nubia. But watch what we're going to find them saying here. They're going to say that they got to, well, they say it multiple times. We've seen it the other day. But, and I don't want to go over these that I went over yesterday. We're going to go over the ones where he say, the Pharaoh of Nahes. The Pharaoh of Patan Nahes. That means there will be a Pharaoh of not Cush, but Nubia. They keep saying the core here, and it kind of meant the king, but I got to get out of this story. This is a different one. Let's read this. I made 10 trips to Nubia, 2nd century BC. That's that same story earlier, the other one. Again, shout out to those who made contributions to this channel. Every time I be thinking about stopping or doing something, I think about y'all and be like, okay, y'all kick in. Thank you. I will bring the humiliation. No, this is the same one we read yesterday. What they say about Osiris here? Something about the garden of Osiris. Well, you seen Osiris was a Cushite. You seen they said he was from the South. You seen they said he led a colony. You seen they say he was black. I mean, what else you got to see? I want to look at this. Because now they're coming from the Nubian land every year to perform some services for Isis. Oh, man. There you go. I told you. What it say right here? This the one I was looking at. What it say right here? The Pharaoh of the Nubian land. Now watch this. This is going to have you crazy. These, remember when we was talking about people coming up from Nubia to do the rituals right in Egypt? Well, you ain't gonna like what this say to me, and you're gonna say it's pseudo. But if I click this right here, this is top Compso.
If I take Takomso and show you, see, I'm just going to read it. First of all, we know that them two first names are not Egyptian names. Menet Iwi and Har-Nek-Totis. But don't think that these are Greek or nothing. Peep game. The prophets of Isis, the Corones. Now that Corones go back to Kandakis. Well, let's see if I can prove that. This will be this. It's gonna say Queens. Told you. Watch this. Dang. It don't say Queen. So these is feminine. The core is a male king. So if they're coronesses and representatives of Isis, he talking about some ladies. But let's see. The represent, not only that, but I think so, when he's talking about this right here, he's talking about that. Let's see. They're not going to help us out with that on Google, so we're just going to keep going. The representatives of Isis, the representatives of the king of Nubian land, the princes of the land of Takomso. What is Takomso? We're going to look into that. And the princes of Triana Skoinos, the royal scribes of Cush, who know the rising of the five living stars, i.e. the planets, as well as the time of the darkening of the sun and the moon. All right. Who comes every year from Nubian land to perform services for Isis. So they even tell, who is Isis? Osiris's wife. Yes, Takomso and Triana is Nubian places, but this is what I want y'all to trip off. And this is only me making this connection, and people who know the Medu Neter are hard-pressed to debunk this. So I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying the people who know the Medu Neter are hard-pressed to debunk this. Watch what I'm about to show you. You about to say, damn, that boy do his homework. Shout out for them contributions. Look, watch what your partner's showing you. Put on your, try to debunk me hat right now. Now check this out. When I show you this, it says Aset was black. I'm showing you the source from the vertible, right? And it says, look, it says Isis, or the Isis as a black woman, right? Now, when you come here, you see, again, remember, you see Sat, right? Kemet. You're like, okay, that's easy. I'm going to remember that. Sat Kemet. Now, watch this. But so Sat Kemet mean black woman. Now, we come back to this text. Wait, is this the text? No, it's here. And we take this term Takomso, right? And we see something weird over here. It says Taj Kimi 600. Click that. And what does it say? A place name, Takomso. It's not giving you nothing. Now watch this. I'm going to click 4 occurrences. So this is 4 occurrences of this word. Now, look, we're going to start to see something. Right here, they just got KM and 600. Kim, 600. Now watch what start happening.
Kim 600. Hold on. Taj Kimmy 600. I'm going to have to bust them out. Let me see. And what they got right here. Just Kimmy and 600. See, I went to the book and I know what's not in the text corpus. Let me show y'all how to do it. So I'm going to put this right here on the Google line. Nope, that's not the right one. Watch this. You can take Takomso and put it on the Google line. But it's better to put Top Kimmy 600. And look at it right here, what's about to come back from the language portal, Trigomesis, and they about to snitch. They're going to show you the Egyptian, how it was written, and I can show you too. But now, see, they hid all these other ones. All they put was Top Kimmy 600. But remember what I just showed you about Isis and Aset? Let me make this bigger. You're going to say, hell no. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. But I just want you to see this. Latin name, Tecumseh. The Egyptian name, the one we just seen, Ta Kimmy 600. But look in the parentheses. Tai Kim Sa. And they're really supposed to put a T right here. And I'm going to prove it. Ta Kim Sa. Ta Kim Su. Now, we all know that Ta could either be the article. It could be the definite article, the, for feminine, for femininity. This don't say Kim Su. As we see when we look at the glyphs, we get Ta Kim Seat. Just like what I showed you in. Now, this is perfect. Look. Just like what I showed you right here. Sit Kemet. But watch this. What we see is Ta Kim Seat. But let me show you this, dude. This is why this shit is beautiful. I'm about to write Kim Seat, and you can see Kim Seat right here was one of the wives. Now, I'm not saying this is her land, but I'm showing you how they use these words together. Kim and Seat talking about black women. Now, Kim Seat was one of the wives of Mentuhotep II. And they also say that they might have been priestesses of Hathor. You can see her right here. You ain't gonna argue that nothing else. Her name could be translated as black woman, but they're using it different. The woman should be in front of it. Should say Sat Kim. See, notice this. This says Kim Seat. When we come here, this says Seat Kemet. Or Seat Kim, Seat Kemet. So they're switched around. Now, when we come back to Takomso, why am I saying that? Because read what they say. So first they're talking about the prophecies of Isis, when I'm knowing they was talking about some women, but they say, the princes of the land of Takomso, the princes of this land, the royal scribes of Cush, who know the rising of the 5 stars. Now watch what happened. Who come every year from the Nubian land to perform services for Isis. So now we got, okay, some indication that, do this got something to do with what they call the priestesses of Isis, who are black women, right? Who, maybe you might have had a priestess of Isis who wasn't at one point. I apologize. I said the priestess of Isis. I meant to say the priestesses of Hathor. Right? But they're telling us here that some people come from Nubian land every year and they perform these services for Isis. And they say, a great mistress of the whole land. And we beseech you to bring us back here so that we may worship you in full splendor. Takomso. Was I finished showing Takomso? Nope. Watch this. I'm going to go to the old TLA so you can see it more clearly.
just so you can see it clearly, because I've done this before. I'm going to go to translations, Takomso, and watch what this say. Ah, they're going to mess that up. Unclick this button. Now look what we got. Ta Kim Sati. Now somebody gonna say, well, they updated that. Look, that's not necessarily true. I found this in the new TLA, just like this. So remember when I said when we went to Trigger Miso and they say Ta Kim Su here? Nah, they messing that up. If we come, we really see that like the old TLA, and I gotta show it in the new TLA. They showing Ta Kim Sati. Now, all you can read out of that is the black woman or land of the black women. Land of the black woman. But my own contention about this is when I look at this, the writing of it is in late Egyptian, right? And so what they translate this at, look, now this let me know. Look, they trying to say the completion. So what does that tell all of you? That a Kim is really in there. See? Because they wouldn't be able to get completion out of that if in this word they wasn't taking this K and this M and saying that it is the ancient Egyptian term for complete, which is the option for Kim. So they are entertaining that it says the complete. So they saying Ta Kim is true. But they say of 600 and they got a question mark, see? Now, I could go look at this book, and we looked at it before, and what we see is they got this woman glyph there that it throws us off, but it definitely let us know they're talking about femininity. So it'd be like Ta, Kim, and then just it'd be a woman there. It's not that hard to see. But all of this, I don't want to call it evidence, but all of these clues, because who would this woman be? It would probably be talking about Aset, or some of the women who would come from these areas too. Like they said, venerate Isis, and they didn't say just women; they said princesses too. But we should talk about that. Now look at this. I tripped off this too, but this is later. The Wayikiyi family. This is later though. But it says the Wayikiyi family was a Nubian priestly family that was influential in the Dode Hashino. Now look at this word, dog. And I even see Kush in the middle of that word. Can't you see it? It says no. They messed that. That Kantashi. No, that ain't the word I was looking at. I'm gonna go back. Right here. Dodekashinos. You see the Kash. It's the same area. But later. Between Upper Egypt and Nubia in the 2nd and 3rd century CE, named for the two members they attested mostly in Demotic inscriptions. I don't know, I don't want to go on for this forever. So in this show, am I saying that Osiris was a human? Nah, definitely not. What I really was coming here to say is that whatever his origins were, it ain't Egypt. He from the south. Now watch this.
Among the earliest known members of the family, Paisus, or whatever, described himself in the late 2nd century adoration text holding up the Nubian titles of Karen and Pereti, or agent of the Egyptian goddess Isis. So we just got through reading the Egyptian text that said these people would be coming up from Takomso to venerate Isis. And now we went to Wiki, and they saying that these people was agents of the Egyptian god Isis. These titles appear to have referred to religious officials who served the central governing body made up of a senior clergy and dodecashoinos, or whatever. Sorry, I messed that all up. And were not reserved for the devotees of Isis herself. Reflecting this ethnic background, Pausias or adorations were typical of those inscribed in Nubian pilgrims to Egyptian temples, but not of ethnic Egyptians themselves. So they talking about this family was the first one to hold the Kushite title. This is so much later in time, but I still got led to this family from this area of Takomso. I'm from looking up Takomso. And they're going to take us back to the same text. Now, if we look at what it says here, here's a translation of this. So this is basically, it comes from him talking at Philae, right? And let me just find it. Now, right here it says, when they are given the land from Takomso to Sini, 12 miles on the west bank and 12 miles on the east bank. Sai Ini or whatever would be Aswan, I think. Let's see. Yep, see? So that means that Takomso must have been below Aswan because it wasn't above it, or east or west of Aswan. Nevertheless, whether this has anything to do with black or not, we clearly seen it did because they said complete. So they know it's a Kim in that word. Now, I can't latch down that they talking about the black woman. So let's show you how that old TLA, Ta Kim Sa, which clearly says the black woman, is corroborated by the new TLA. I just had to find this lemma. Right? See if I can find that again. No. And if y'all got some questions, put them in the chat. Limitless. I thought it said search by lemma. Nope. I'm messing up. Search for lemma. Here we go. Transliteration. Word class. Root of the lemma. Nah, I just want to put the number. All right, forget it. I thought I could put it on search by the ID. Oh, look up TLA ID. Okay. Maybe right here. There we go. Now, there it go. See, I had to show y'all that in the new TLA so people wouldn't think that I just made that up. Ta Kim Sati. Sati is a woman, the black woman, or land of black women, however you would want to do it. But I just want you to see that. So I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the South and this Kim, this is already something there. And I didn't come to say that this is what that meant. But since we wound up scrutinizing it, we could see the instances. Lord of Takomso. Beautiful with the white crown, not the white and the red crown, but the white crown of the South, Lord of Takomso,
and is destroyed. And that's Ptolemy the Fourth saying he was that. From Aswan to Tecumseh. No, to the land of the black woman. But anyway, I didn't want to go too far on that. So let me see if I can come holler for a minute. Oh, somebody said the mic going low? Nah, that's your thing, because he said it didn't change for him. But maybe I linked back in the chair too far. I don't know. So I'm just giving y'all some sources. I ain't necessarily saying, look, it's definitive that Osiris was a human. If you take everything that we was looking at, right, and you really put it all together, there's something there that he might have came from origins of being a venerated ancestor, right? I mean, I'm just saying, what's so bad about that? Like, maybe, you know, look how people look at Tupac and everything. One day, I'm just saying, people get venerated. Where did veneration even come from? Was deification, I mean. Deification being a process of somebody, you know, something not being godly at one point and then it becoming godly. You know what I'm saying? It being deified. That's an option there. And so I don't think that that mound of Osiris is the same as the tomb of Osiris, but unfortunately, when I seen the tomb of Osiris inside the TLA today, it said TOMB, and I didn't click it because I was doing some other research. But I'll find it and we'll talk about it in the ancient times and to see whether it was it was mythological. We know that, right? We don't think he exists, but we want to talk about it. Like, if they made a mythological tomb, it's to go with the mythological story of the dismemberment of Osiris, possibly. Right? I don't know. It would seem that way. Let me see. So now I only got a little bit of time to free time. And I just did a little bit of the majority of what I want to people. I'm going to reiterate what I want people to take from this video. Because we talked about two things. And the question is if Osiris was an Egyptian god. Now, I didn't prove anything about him in this video being a human or nothing. But when we start looking at the research of his origins, it begged that question. Nevertheless, what I wanted to point out is that when we look at the origins of Osiris in ancient Egyptian texts, they said Osiris was a Cushite. So if you're a Cushite, you're a Cushite god. Let's be clear. And so now all the different points that we see how they could have came to that conclusion. And so in the sense of shortening up some of my shows, because I always say I'm going to come back on the same day, but I never get to come back because I spend so much time on one show. So I'm going to let this just be a 2-hour little bit to say, okay, answer that question if you think that you knew definitively that Osiris was an Egyptian god, then show us why from the perspective of the ancient Egyptian would they say Osiris the Cushite came to me, why they put his quote-unquote mythological tomb in Elephantine, which would be right there above what we would call Egyptian Nubia, right? And what's up with all this origin and the home of the gods being down south in Kush? I want to say thank you to everyone who contributed to this show today. It's y'all that's making my channel grow. I want to say thank you to the people who hitting the Cash App right now, who grabbing their phone and aiming at the screen, or people who taking advantage of my Black Friday sale. Say you want that cheap book to get that book, Cyber Monday, whatever you want to call it. You could get that. Maybe I ain't even changed the price of that thing. You know what I'm saying? Babylon Don, your negative commentary. I don't know what you putting monkeys up on the goddamn screen for, but you the only, when you come on the show, you sure do be doing a lot of monkeying around, bro. Right? And I'm just keeping it a buck. You don't want to be trying to assert nothing authoritatively, right? Like you just did the show that just redefined Osiris as being a damn Cushite. But I just showed you to your face all the sources that you could use to give a better contribution than that clown ass commentary that you just put up in my chat. It made me think you someplace in a dirty ass house. That's all I got out of that. You feel me? For real, like you on a broke up computer someplace hating, just mad than a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the watcher for giving the compliment for the book. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to anybody. Y'all know what? This page is interactive. You see Mai Hepri here, and he is giving praise for the contributions that y'all give to the channel. And when somebody hits this link, let me show y'all how this works. This hacker fly, but I don't be on this page because it don't be working. Don't nobody be using it. But I'm gonna show you. Actually, Jesus Tirado just used it. Let me show you this link. This link right here is connected to this page, right? Let me show you. And there's some fly merch in here. I'll put some casual merch up there. I forgot. But I didn't test it out yet. Maybe y'all want to test it out. Look. He said he's still pouting about that wrench. You hella funny. You still remember that day that wrench got PM'd? So this the merch, but I'm gonna go tip. No, merch. Check that out. You can get some fly stuff right there. And look at this. So this page right here is linked to that cup I got right there. So when somebody hit this, like you see it say Adam RTPF, when somebody make a contribution, you ain't seeing what I'm seeing. Let me show you. When somebody make a contribution, right, let me see if I can fix it. When somebody contributes to the show right here, it fills up. There go Anonymous Hebrew. I just called you out earlier. I was trying to get you. I summoned you. I used that Egyptian magic. Don't tell me you got a few minutes because it could go down. But I wouldn't do you dirty, though. I ain't going to do you dirty. You a young student, and I respect what you learning. Like, for real, but you need some consultation. So really, if you're trying to do what you're doing, you need to really feel free to consult with your homies who study Kemet like that. Because your argument only got a few holes in it. I mean, it got an ultimate hole in it, that the whole Abrahamic tradition thing, where it come from, but I don't want to start insulting it. What I'm saying is, if you want to make your hypothesis work, I've seen a few ways that you could possibly make it work, but what I was hearing on Sonnet, it wasn't working. You still saying the hike soaks like that was a people. You got to deal with my show and watch my show. If you want a dialogue, we can build on that, but I don't want to have you feel contentious, and I don't really feel like getting hyphy right now. I'm kind of like chilling. So shout out to you. Thanks for watching. But I'm going to show you a few things maybe, and you can see if you see what I'm saying. Damn, that's cold. So maybe I'll start another show or something because I don't want to mess this one up and start talking about nothing different. We have a contribution from Brother Flag, and it's much appreciated. Thank y'all for growing the channel. Thank y'all for really making it mean more for me. You know what I'm saying? Every time y'all contribute, once I finally get a YouTube check, it be because of y'all contributions, not because of the ads or nothing else. And so I appreciate that. if time frees up, because I only got a little bit of time before I got to start grinding and stuff, right? So if things free up, I will come back and do another show about some of this other stuff. But again, thanks to everybody contributing, and I'm about to go relax for a minute. We got a cool 2 hours in.